Hello and welcome to another TLDR EU video. With economies throughout Europe beginning to ease lockdown measures, discussion has turned to the economic recovery and how Europe will weather the storm better than they did in 2008. While no one's suggesting that the two are economically comparable, both have forced governments to step in financially to back their country. When it comes to coronavirus, more so, as shops and businesses are all shut, causing millions to suddenly jump onto the state payroll. One of the proposals to deal with the economic fallout comes in the form of a €500 billion recovery fund. And while it's welcome, it's not going to solve all of the problems that nations have. So in this video, we're going to look at what the proposal entails, the alternatives, and what it means for Europe. If this is a topic you're interested in, then you might like to know more about America's $3 trillion stimulus package called the HEROES Act. We're releasing a video about it later today on TLDR US, a channel which is linked below. Be sure to subscribe to TLDR US for more American news and updates. So first things first, what's happened? Well, the IMF has projected a 7.5% real terms fall in GDP for the Eurozone area as a whole throughout 2020. When you break that down to individual countries, it's a 7% drop for Germany, 7.2% for France, 8% for Spain, and 9.1% for Italy. So, in reaction to this, there has to be dramatic action to shore up the European economy. Earlier this month, French President Emmanuel Macron and German Chancellor Angela Merkel, the two biggest players in the European Union and the biggest drivers of European integration, proposed in a joint video conference a €500 billion recovery fund, with the fund providing grants to countries and regions whose economies have been hit particularly hard by the virus, in order to enhance the resilience, convergence and competitiveness of European economies. And the fund itself is specifically being targeted at the challenges of the pandemic crisis and its aftermath. So let's find out more about this €500 billion recovery fund. The money would be raised through bonds, with the European Commission borrowing on capital markets at levels not seen before. While the Commission does raise funds via capital markets to fund support programmes, these are much smaller than the Franco-German proposal, and are loans, not non-repayable grants. When it comes to how the money will be repaid, the proposal hasn't fleshed out exactly how and when this would happen, but it would most likely involve increased contributions to the EU budget. Regardless, in putting the proposal forward, both Macron and Merkel have highlighted the sheer gravitas of the situation. The current crisis is unprecedented in the history of the European Union. No life, no workplace, no business remains unaffected from this global shock. While our societies and our economies are in the process of finding their way out of the lockdown, uncertainties remain extraordinarily large. Our goal, however, is clear. Europe will weather this crisis together and come out of it stronger than before. Achieving a sustainable recovery for the EU guides our joint efforts. We, France and Germany, are fully committed to live up to our responsibility for the EU and will help pave the way out of the crisis. The sheer size of the proposal is one of the many reasons why the proposal is particularly significant, another being the role of Merkel. As Katja Adler, the BBC's Europe editor, puts it, in EU political terms, this is huge. Chancellor Merkel has conceded a lot. Standard economic theory has always advocated that for a successful monetary union, a successful sharing of a single currency, a fiscal union is also necessary. The issue is that any moves towards this common backing has always been anathema to Germany, who have always been concerned about the EU turning into a transfer union, where money is simply being consistently and unconditionally sent one way. Germany fears that this will be from Germany to peripheral countries such as Greece, Portugal and Italy. The proposal being put forward by France and Germany seems to be a major and at least temporary reversal of the continuous German opposition. For example, even during the 2008 financial crisis and the subsequent sovereign debt crisis, Germany was always a major proponent of conditionality on loans. That is to say, requiring that companies impose austerity in order to get any EU loans. And now it seems that alongside France, Germany has moved towards common debt insurance and full-on grants. Likely, this is in part due to the political contention caused by austerity measures in Greece, Portugal, and Italy, and as well as the fact, as Politico puts it, the nature of the pandemic, which unlike the debt crisis was not caused by government mismanagement, likely made it easier for Merkel to agree to relax the conditions for money. That said, she still needs to sell the idea to her own parliament. But this is no silver bullet, and despite the support of both France and Germany, the two largest net contributors to the EU budget, and in 2018 accounting for nearly 30% of the EU's income, there's no guarantee that all 27 EU states would unanimously adopt such a plan. That being said, there has been some public support. Giuseppe Conte, the Italian Prime Minister, tweeted, "The Franco-German proposal, 500 billion of grants, is an important first step in the direction along the lines intended by Italy. In order to overcome this crisis and help businesses and families, we need an ambitious recovery fund. We are confident in the EU Commission's proposal." And Pedro Sanchez, the Spanish Prime Minister, also tweeted, "We welcome the proposal by France and Germany to establish a 500 billion European recovery fund based on grants. It's a positive step in the right direction, in line with our own demands. Now it's time for the EU to put forward a proper financial package. We should keep moving forward." While both Spain and Italy have seen the proposals in a positive light, many other countries are, in the words of the FT, digging their heels in. Austrian Chancellor Sebastian Kurz, part of the so-called Frugal Four, made up of Austria, the Netherlands, Denmark and Sweden, stated on Twitter, "Our position remains unchanged. We're ready to help most affected countries with loans. We expect the updated MFF to reflect the new priorities, rather than raising the ceiling." And this is where a particular point of contention arises, whether the package should consist of loans or non-repayable grants. Rather, the Frugal Four have advocated a loans-for-loans approach, a temporary one-off emergency fund to support the economic recovery, with a thorough needs assessment of a temporary one-off nature with an explicit sunset clause after 2 years, and explicitly not leading to any mutualisation of debt. But again, that's far from the single point of contention. Other questions arise from how the plan would work in practice, including how the money would be distributed and how it would get repaid. Guntram Wolf, director of the Bruegel think tank, argues that how the money is distributed will ultimately determine the success of the Franco-German proposal, and if spending is spread evenly across the bloc, any benefit will be blunted. Regardless, the political implications of the proposal cannot be understated. A UniCredit strategist talking to the FT highlighted that investors were focusing on the broader political signalling of the move. It is because this is a very welcome step for Europe, and for its institutional framework if it goes ahead. It signals that there's a willingness to apply solidarity in helping the economic recovery. Thomas Weisler, president of the Euro Working Group until February 2018, having guided much of its response to the sovereign debt crisis, told the Financial Times, "If we get this wrong, it will ruin the political atmosphere for decades, literally decades. Loans are easy because they're free, but when it comes to true solidarity and help, nothing is free, and true solidarity is what is needed now." The European Commission has responded positively to the plan, with Ursula von der Leyen saying that the Franco-German proposal acknowledges the scope and size of the economic challenge that Europe faces, and rightly puts the emphasis on the need to work on a solution with the European budget at its core. It goes in the direction of the proposal the Commission is working on, which will also take into account the views of all Member States and the European Parliament. And finally, Mario Centeno, Portuguese finance minister and president of the Eurogroup, an informal yet influential body of Eurozone members, said that the fund would be a big step towards a fiscal union and truly functioning monetary union, but the negotiations will invariably be complicated. So it's possible that this fund may be more influential than it sounds. It might not just support the EU in this current crisis, it might also change the fundamental structure of the EU's relationships. So, what do you think? Which proposal should be used? The French and German model of grants, or the Frugal Four's loans for loans? Let us know what you think in the comments below. And as always, you can also get involved in the conversation over on Discord. As I mentioned at the start of this video, later today we're putting out a video about America's attempt to protect their economy, a $3 trillion package. And if you enjoyed this video, you might like that one too. There's a link to TLDR US below, and if the video is already up by the time you're watching this, then perfect, you can watch it right now. And if not, be sure to subscribe to the channel to be notified once it's released. Talking of subscribing, be sure to subscribe to TLDR EU while you're at it, and hit the bell icon to be notified every time we post. You can also find more from us across all social networks, simply by searching for TLDR News. Special thanks to our Patreon backers who make videos like this one possible.